Well, after yet another bruising defeat at the courts and spending his first weekend behind bars, convicted former President Jacob Zuma returns to the country's highest court today. He wants to have his 15-month prison sentence set aside for contempt. Many legal experts have suggested that Zuma could have avoided all of this had he just appeared at the state capture inquiry when he was summoned to do so. But Zuma believes he's been unfairly sentenced for contempt of court without trial. Well, lawyer Pooja Dela specializes in constitutional legal matters, and she's a partner at Weber Wenzel and represents the Helen Suzman Foundation in court today. She joins us now live to discuss today's case. Pooja, thank you so much for joining us. Today's hearings are expected to be quite lengthy, given all the new interested parties that applied to join the matter as friends of the court or amicus on Friday.
Indeed. Thanks, Annika. Thank you for having me. It's sure to be a very interesting hearing. There are quite a few amicus curiae who applied to the court. Not all of them have been admitted, but certainly interesting arguments to be made on both sides of the coin.
Pooja, the test for rescission or setting aside a constitutional or even High Court order are pretty narrow. Can you just take us through the central points? I know one of them is absence of a central party, patent error or omission, or the court erroneously taking account of evidence. What sort of chances does Jacob Zuma actually have when looking at his affidavit and application?
Absolutely. That's quite right, Annika. The test is very narrow, and it's narrow for a very important reason. Now, our courts demand finality and certainty in judgments. There would be havoc and pandemonium if every successful litigant could apply time and time again once the Constitutional Court has spoken. Now, our position is quite clear that Mr. Zuma does not satisfy any of the three jurisdictional requirements for rescission. And in effect, his rescission application is simply an appeal through the back door because he doesn't agree with the final outcome of the Constitutional Court in ordering a period of incarceration. He certainly doesn't qualify under any of those jurisdictional requirements.
Yes, in terms of, absence of a central party, Zuma saying in his founding affidavit that he wasn't available at the time for financial and medical reasons, but he certainly was informed of all directions given by the Constitutional Court. So it's not as if he wasn't aware. He chose not to take part.
Absolutely. Annika, we must remember why we are here, not just as the litigating parties, but together as a nation. This is a man who has steadfastly refused to participate in any of the proceedings, not just the Commission of State Capture. He has steadfastly refused to participate in the Constitutional Court proceedings. And now he brings us here to the court in order to argue that which he had every opportunity to argue on multiple occasions. That is simply anathema to the founding values of our constitutional democracy.
He's relying, I think, if I'm correct, in the minority judgment and saying that a civil proceeding can't sentence somebody. How much weight do you think that's going to hold?
That's simply incorrect as a matter of fact and a matter of law, Annika. The law provides and has always provided for a prison sentence to be imposed, even in the context of civil contempt. And the majority judgment dealt extensively with the law in that regard. Like I said, it's not open to an unsuccessful party simply because they disagree with the outcome to seek a rescission of that judgment.
I can't remember if it was the Helen Suzman Foundation or Freedom Under Law, Dali Mpofu, Counsel for Jacob Zuma, saying you're just busybodies. What kind of suggestions are you expected, as acting for the Helen Suzman Foundation, expected to give to the court today in terms of helping them as friends of the court?
Well, Annika, we're not an amicus curiae. We are actually cited as a litigating party. We are the fifth respondent in the matter, and we have important arguments to raise, not just Mr. Zuma's failure to comply with the jurisdictional requirements, but Mr. Zuma comes to the court with dirty hands, as it were, having eschewed the authority of the Constitutional Court, now comes to the court to say, you got it wrong in your majority judgment. So we will certainly be making arguments on all of those fronts.
Just take me through the day. We're not going to run proceedings without doing any other news, but we will be reporting and streaming it live on our website, enca.com. What can viewers or people interested in following proceedings expect, and is it going to be a long day?
I suspect it might be a long day, but the Constitutional Court is usually very good with regulating the time that's afforded to each of the litigating parties. So I think each party will have an ample opportunity to make out their case. With the joining of various amicus curiae, time will have to be afforded to them to make their arguments as well. So a long day anticipated, but hopefully the court will regulate the time afforded to the parties.
Last question, Pooja. Is there any sense, or is this urgent? Because the Constitutional Court, I think, took 3 months in order to deliver judgment on the initial contempt ruling, and that was, that was a pretty long time. There must have, we can only, presume that there was some consternation with regards to the justices hearing the matter. Urgency.
Annika, I think the matter by its very nature is an urgent one. We look around the country and many of our provinces are burning. I suspect that the Constitutional Court will take the time that it requires, and importantly so, because this is a matter that tests the boundaries of various aspects of our law. They will certainly act with the requisite amount of urgency, but they will take the time, no doubt, to hand down a thorough, detailed judgment in due course.
Pooja Dela, thank you so much for your insight this morning. She's an attorney, she's a partner at Webb Wenzel and acts for the Helen Suzman Foundation today.